How is it possible that Brazil, the nation with 5 FIFA World Cup titles, has just recorded its worst World Cup finish in 36 years? And even more importantly, was this simply a disappointing campaign, or is it the clearest sign yet that the golden era of the Seleção has truly come to an end? In my opinion, this wasn't just another defeat. The 2026 FIFA World Cup felt like a turning point that exposed deeper problems within Brazilian football. From the way the team performed on the pitch to Neymar's emotional farewell, everything seemed to point toward the same conclusion. So, let's break down exactly what went wrong and why Brazil ended up with its worst World Cup results since 1990. In today's video, we're going to take a closer look at Brazil's journey at the 2026 FIFA World Cup and how it came to an end in the round of 16. Let's get started. Brazil kept winning, but the warning signs were already there. If you only looked at the results, Brazil's campaign seemed fairly convincing. They topped their group after defeating Scotland, Haiti, and Morocco. In the knockout stage, they also overcame Japan with a hard-fought 2-1 victory. But beneath those results, the warning signs were already impossible to ignore. Brazil still dominated possession, yet their football looked noticeably slower than the generations that came before them. Their creativity in the final third had faded, their transitions lacked the explosiveness they once had, and almost every victory felt far more difficult than it should have been. I no longer saw the kind of Brazil that could make opponents panic from the opening whistle. In my opinion, much of that change came from Carlo Ancelotti's tactical approach. He introduced a more pragmatic style, one built on patience and possession, structured attacking play, and greater defensive discipline. That philosophy has brought him tremendous success in European club football, but with Brazil, it has drawn criticism for moving away from the nation's famous Joga Bonito identity. I'm not saying Ancelotti's tactics were wrong. However, when your finishing becomes less clinical and you no longer have the extraordinary individual creativity of players like Ronaldo, Ronaldinho, or Kaká, a more conservative approach can strip away the very quality that once made Brazil unique. They remained a strong team, but they were no longer a frightening one. 2 minutes that erased 36 years of history. In my opinion, the match against Norway will be remembered as one of the darkest moments in Brazilian football history. For more than 70 minutes, the game was evenly balanced. Brazil even had the perfect opportunity to take the lead, but Bruno Guimaraes saw his penalty brilliantly saved by Urian Nyland. That moment proved to be the turning point. Then, in the 79th and 80th minutes, Erling Haaland struck twice in rapid succession. In the space of barely a minute, Brazil's entire 2026 FIFA World Cup campaign came crashing down. Neymar did pull one back from the penalty spot deep into stoppage time, but by then, it was simply too late. To me, this defeat meant far more than just another round of 16 elimination. It marked the end of a remarkable level of consistency that Brazil had maintained for 8 consecutive World Cups. Since being knocked out in the round of 16 back in 1990, Brazil had reached at least the quarterfinals in every tournament. They lifted the trophy in 1994 and 2002, finished as runners-up in 1998, and consistently advanced to the last 8 in every edition that followed. That extraordinary streak finally came to an end at the 2026 FIFA World Cup. For a nation that has won 5 World Cup titles, failing to reach the quarterfinals is widely viewed as a major setback, even by many Brazilian media outlets. Neymar's tears became the symbol of the end of an era. If there's one image that will stay with me from that defeat, it isn't Haaland's 2 goals, it's Neymar in tears after the final whistle. He came off the bench, converted a penalty deep into stoppage time, but couldn't change his team's fate. What I saw was a player who realized that his final opportunity to become a World Cup champion had slipped away forever. After the match, Neymar simply said, I tried. Now it's over." In my opinion, those few words were even more heartbreaking than the final score itself. It's impossible to look back on Neymar's international career with mixed emotions. He retired as Brazil's all-time leading goal scorer with 80 goals in 130 appearances, surpassing Pelé. He helped Brazil win the 2013 FIFA Confederations Cup and delivered Olympic gold in 2016. Yet, the one trophy every Brazilian dreams of lifting, the FIFA World Cup, always remained out of reach. He played in 4 World Cups, but never managed to take Brazil to the final. Constant injuries followed him throughout his career, turning his story into that of once-in-a-generation talent who was never truly given the chance to experience his greatest moment on football's biggest stage. Ancelotti didn't fail because of his reputation, he failed because of Brazil's expectations. Before the tournament began, many believed Carlo Ancelotti was the man who would solve Brazil's problems. His resume was almost unmatched. 5 UEFA Champions League titles, league championships in 5 different countries, and decades of experience managing some of the world's greatest players. Expectations couldn't have been higher. But after Brazil's elimination, all of those achievements suddenly seemed to matter very little. Social media was flooded with criticism, from calls for Ancelotti out to demands that the Brazilian Football Confederation try to appoint Pep Guardiola instead. Of course, those reactions didn't represent every Brazilian fan, but they showed just how deep the disappointment had become after a campaign many viewed as unacceptable. What impressed me most was Ancelotti's response. He refused to resign, insisting that this defeat should mark the beginning of a new cycle rather than the end of one. But what really caught my attention was his statement that Brazil needs more young players competing at the highest level. To me, that was an indirect admission that this generation simply hasn't reached the standards set by Brazil's legendary teams of the past. Vinicius Jr. is undoubtedly a world-class player, but Brazil no longer possesses elite talent in almost every position like they did in 1994, 2002, or even 2006. In my opinion, that's the biggest challenge they must overcome before the 2030 FIFA World Cup. Brazil's problems go far beyond one defeat. Many people will remember the 2026 FIFA World Cup as the tournament where Norway shocked the football world. But in my opinion, the bigger story was Brazil. This elimination wasn't the result of one mistake, one missed penalty, or even Haaland's 2 decisive goals. It was the culmination of an incomplete generational transition, inconsistent finishing, a changing football identity, and the enormous expectations of a nation that accepts nothing less than winning the World Cup. A country like Brazil is never judged simply by playing attractive football. It is judged by one question alone: did they lift the trophy? At the same time, I believe this defeat could become an important turning point. History has repeatedly shown that Brazil knows how to rebuild after major disappointments. They were eliminated in 1990, only to become world champions 4 years later. They suffered the unforgettable 7-1 humiliation against Germany in 2014, yet still managed to develop another talented generation afterward. That's why I'm not ready to say Brazil's golden days are over. But one thing is certain, the 2026 FIFA World Cup has closed an important chapter in the history of the Seleção. The question now is, who will become the new face of Brazilian football and lead the pursuit of a 6th World Cup title? The 2026 FIFA World Cup has reminded everyone that a legendary reputation alone is no longer enough. For the first time since 1990, Brazil has failed to reach the quarterfinals. Their mission now isn't simply to bounce back, it's to prove that the golden era of the Seleção hasn't truly come to an end. So, what do you think was the biggest reason behind Brazil's disappointing 2026 FIFA World Cup campaign? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more in-depth football analysis and stories.